Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, whenever or wherever you're watching or listening. This is the Awesemo NHL DFS Strategy Show, and I'm your host, Michael Clifford, aka Slim Cliffy, joining me for the next hour to break down all the winning that went on last night. Our single entry assassin, Mr. Joshua Harris. Josh, how you doing today, buddy?
A good day. Man, our chat was en fuego last night. It was good to see. We had the normal insane tilt from 7 to 7. I don't get it. As soon as it locks and someone gets a shot on goal, people just lose their minds until all the other games start. But it ended up being a very good night for a lot of subscribers. So love to see it.
Yeah, I think we talked about that on a show before the All-Star break. Like, sometimes the best thing just to give your brain a rest is once the game starts and you know who's in your lineups, is to just stop checking your lineups and all that, and you don't have to necessarily tilt every shot. I do that. I know, as soon as the first goal goes in and I don't have it in any of my 20 lineups, it's like, well, shut the laptop, slate's over. I mean, it never ever works out that way, but that's just kind of the feeling. But yeah, we had lots of winners. In fact, one of them in our chat right now, Chuck Dynasty, gave us a super chat, a $10 super chat. Thank you very much for that, Chuck. He says, this is Jake's referral fee for pointing out the Yahoo NHL Thursday Night Baller in Discord. Took it down with a single bullet. Keep the great content coming. Thanks a lot for your super chat, Chuck, and good job last night. He did have that 1K takedown over on Yahoo with a single bullet. We had, like Josh said, we had more winners in chat last night. Should mention that somebody DM me. Somebody else messaged me this morning on Twitter, and it was from a slate a few nights ago. Actually, it was the night that Calgary won 6-0 at home to Vegas. I think it was D. Corey Jr. over on FanDuel took down. I think he split first in the 444 with Chicago and Calgary and Jacob Markstrom in net. So congrats to you, D. Corey Jr. over on FanDuel from a couple nights ago. But then again, last night, Chuck, like I said, took down the 1K on Yahoo. We had Malik Aliki taking down the FD Risters, the $4 and the $1 over on FanDuel. We had Ricky taking second in the $40, if I'm not mistaken. We had Jimmy it wasn't like a Jimmy VB. It wasn't like one of those Banks monster screenshots, but he cashed all his cash games, went over 5x with his MMEs. And, those kinds of nights are great too. The nights where you don't bink, but you still come out, 5, 6, 7X. Those nights are very important as well. So Ricky, Chuck, Malik Aliki, Jimmy, D. Corey, good job over the last couple nights. We had more winners. I just really want to point out the people that finished at or near the top of their contest. And you had a good night last night. You had a little bit of a sweat as well. Why don't you take us through that?
Oh, man. Yeah, let's see. Late in the third period of the Tampa Colorado game, which is the last game of the slate, I was winning the 121. I was winning the $12 single entry. I was in the top 5 in the 15 and the top 5 in the 40. I was fading anything Victor Hedman, or really like anything Tampa, but like any Victor Hedman event would have killed me. And he ended up getting a shot on goal with 5 seconds left. I think the guy who beat me in the 121, like I know him. I met him in Nashville. He was at the live final. I think he's an Awesemo subscriber. I'm not 100% sure, but I know the guy is a really nice guy. If I'm going to lose somebody, despite him being an Islanders fan, I don't mind losing to him. But after that, there was a stat correction. Rasmus Anderson's goal was originally assisted by Tkachuk and Noah Hannafin, and I had Noah Hannafin, and that was his third point of the night, a 3-point bonus. So they changed that to unassisted. I don't know why. Like I watched it. I guess it kind of looked like it got touched by someone else. I don't know. Whatever it was, they changed it to unassisted. Hannafin lost a 3-point bonus. I went from 45x all the way down to 10x. Quite a scene, but in single entry, you just kind of live for those like moments of sheer terror where you have a big sweat. In the end, I still ended up cashing 10x, which is nothing to be ashamed of. I last night played about $200, so it was 2,000 for me. So you take those, you move on. You wish it was more, but you say, oh, I lost 7,000 at the end there. I didn't really lose 7,000 there because it was never mine.
Yeah,
exactly. It still hurts a little bit though.
Exactly. That's one of the things that, like I said, why I don't really check my lineups at least until the early games are over. It's because I don't want to see, maybe a first and a fourth and a seventh in my 20 maxes, but it's just because I had a bunch of early games or something like that. And the late games still have to roll around because, that number's definitely coming down as the slate goes on. So it is those tough sweats. And when you get to the top of those contests, that's what happens. Those are the big swings. And that's just, it's the contest structure and things like that. Going from first to third is considerably different than going from 175th to 177th. Like that's just the structure of the contest. But you're right. You do live for those sweats. You want to be able to have those nights where it's 1 o'clock in the morning and you're waiting to see if a guy will get a shot on goal or something like that. Those are the reasons why we do play. So good job on you for having a good night. I did not have a good night. I mean, I got back 2/3 of my entries.
That's honestly in MME, when you get back 2/3 of your entries, you're kind of like, whew, okay, it could have been way worse.
It did look way worse because I didn't have very much in the early games, and I certainly didn't have any of the Washington goals. I only played a lot of one-off John Carlson, and I think he had 1 assist and nothing else on 5 goals. And that really hurt me. And I think I had 1 out of 20 lineups cashing going into the late games, but then Tampa Bay really kind of pulled me around and brought me to 2/3 cashing. So yeah, we'll take that. It's been a good week for me otherwise. So take the good with the bad. Josh had a good night. Lots of subscribers had a good night. We sent one person. Well, we didn't send. We should say that people are certainly making their own decisions here. We're just 2 idiots in front that they decide to put in front of the camera. But one guy going to a live final. We had Jake take down the $15 on DraftKings. Jake Harry, our boss. So been a pretty good week here at Awesemo. Let's hope we can keep this going here tonight. 4-game slate here tonight, Josh. I want you to give me your initial thoughts on this slate because it is one of those interesting slates where you try to. I'm probably going to single entry tonight. I think you try to definitely cut down. And you look at specific spots like, yeah, Tampa Bay is on a back-to-back, but they're in a great matchup. Edmonton's at home. They've been, I don't know if they've been playing poorly or just had some bad shot luck. I think we'll talk about that a little bit later. But they have a new coach. Winnipeg is getting a couple important players back into their lineup tonight in Neil Pionk and Pierre-Luc Dubois. And then the late game tonight of Seattle and Anaheim looks like one of those games that you just might want to avoid. But on a 4-game slate, you certainly can't do anything like that. So what did you think about this slate when you were digging into it?
Yeah, man, this is a busy 4-game slate if there ever was one. Because, like, Pierre-Luc, I'll just kind of go through news game by game here. Like, Pierre-Luc Dubois is back tonight, but he's not on the second line, which is where he normally is, center and Connor and Perfetti. Now, they said they want to ease him in, whatever that means. That could be coach speak, just want to make sure he's okay. I have a feeling he's going to move back up into that second center role at some point in that game. And if that's the case, like, that's a really good matchup for that Winnipeg second line. So that's something you got to consider. You got Dallas 1 in this game. For whatever reason, Jason Robertson's price doesn't move, even though he's the best player in that line. It's not even close. You take Robertson off that line, and when he was out, you had whoever up there, Jacob Peterson, they're still good, but they weren't. The numbers were crazy different with Robertson up there, and he's under 6K. So, Dallas 1's in a really good spot. New coach in Edmonton, they got new lines. McDavid you might be able to actually stack that line for the first time in a few weeks. You got the Islanders, who are basically free against the Oilers team with Mike Smith probably in that again. You know what I mean? Just because they got a new coach, it's not going to change how bad their defense and goaltending is. Islanders are free. Tampa Bay's on a back-to-back on the road, but Kucherov is back. This is one of the best power play spots you can have. Like, the Coyotes probably have depends on which metric you look at, the worst penalty kill in the league. And Tampa is back-to-back Stanley Cup champs. Yet they're probably not going to win the Stanley Cup this year, but still got the big boys there. Brian Elliott, 8,500. I don't know. Could be interesting. Could play some Yotes tonight. I'd probably just end up betting the Yotes instead of playing the Yotes. That's just painful. And then the last game of the night, Seattle Anaheim just seems like an awful game. But, like, you look at the top stacks tools, some of these lines are coming in at pretty good leverage. So, like, you just can't. It'd be irresponsible if you're MMA and just be like, I don't care about that game. That's 25% of the slate. So this is a crazy 4-game slate. I really like it. It's going to be pretty. Normally it's not that difficult to get down to one lineup on a 4-game. You're just like, yeah, we got this. I like that. Let's do it. This is like, you can legitimately, outside of the Coyotes, you can legitimately make a case for any team in 1 to 3 lineups tonight.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's kind of what I took away from this. And it's kind of rare because unlike you, I try to whittle it down, get rid of games. It's rare that there's not a game where I just look at it and I'm like, no, I don't want to play anything from that. In fact, I think if there is a game where I'm just looking at it and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to play anything from there, it'd be the Islanders and Edmonton. And when you're on a 4-game slate and you're saying to yourself, no, I don't have any interest in Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. Those are the kinds of things that get you a 0% return on a night very quickly. But I do think there is a lot basically in every game. And I think there might be even some stuff like on the Arizona side, like we'll talk about them in a little bit, but I think there is even some stuff on the Arizona side to like. We should get to those games in a bit. Before we get too much further, if everybody could in chat, please throw us a thumbs up. Those likes really help us. The subscriptions help us even more. If you guys could, if you're new here, please click the subscribe button. Really helps us grow this channel, keeps these shows coming on a regular basis, whether it's NHL, whether it's NBA, a little bit of NFL left, hopefully MLB sometime soon, PGA, MMA, NASCAR, what have you. Those subscriptions really help us a lot. Click the bell if you want to get alerts when we do go live. Because like I said, we do have lots of shows for lots of sports, basically every single day. Free premium tools and data up on the site. Today, we have NBA player rankings. We have our NHL player projections. And we have our UFC pro plays as well. as our Super Bowl giveaway that's pinned on Twitter. Just head on over to Twitter, head on over to Awesemo_com. That's our main handle, and reply whether you think Joe Burrow or Matthew Stafford will have more passing yards, and then just follow the instructions on the graphic to be entered for a chance to win a free year of Awesemo Plus Platinum. That's a $1,000 value, and this will be one of our biggest giveaways all year. So make sure to enter this one. A couple more giveaways, actually. One, Yahoo Fantasy. Can't believe I haven't mentioned them yet. They are our sponsor, have been the sponsor for our show this entire season. They've been very good to us, and they're giving away free money for some first-time Yahoo users. So if you haven't played on Yahoo yet and you want some free money, maybe you want to get acclimated to some NHL DFS without playing against Sharks regularly, just click the link in the video description below, or we'll talk about it a little bit later on the show. Finally, one last giveaway. I'll just throw it over to Josh because Josh has something very nice he wants to offer.
Yeah, so we have NBA All-Star break coming up, which is good for NHL. We always get the NHL GPP bump, and I know we get a lot of viewers on this show who aren't Awesemo subscribers. Some say they want to be. I would assume a lot want to be. They're not. Some people aren't very vocal about it. They just join the show, they watch, and they, when they win, they say, "Oh man, we, thanks for this for that." I want to give back. Cliffy wants to give back. We really appreciate you guys tuning in every day. So, with NBA All-Star break coming up, we want to get you in to our membership. So, we're going to give away 2 weekly passes for NHL. We'll get you access to the Discord chat. I make that mistake all the time. You get, projections, top stack, this and that. This is what you got to do. You got to hit the like button. And then after the show, leave a comment in the comments, your favorite moment from our show from last year or this year. It's very simple. And leave an email address or your Twitter handle. So if you win, we can reach out to you, get you set up. We'll figure out what the best time is because NBA All-Star break I think it starts on Friday. It's like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So maybe we can do something from like Wednesday to next Wednesday. So we'll get that figured out. We'll get you in for a week. So just hit the like button, comment your favorite moment from the show from last season or this season. Leave a contact information. We'll pick 2 winners and we'll reach out and we'll get you set up.
Just that easy. This was the brainchild of Josh. He brought this up sometime around Christmas, I think, wanted to do like a little bit of a Christmas giveaway. Obviously, things just kind of all went to hell in the NHL around Christmas time. So had to push it off. But what better time to do it than NBA All-Star break? You're right. That's when the NHL does get a huge bump in its contest and its used player base and all that. So as Josh said, like the video, comment below with your favorite moment either last year or this year from this video. Could even be with Jake on the show. Jake has done a bunch of hosting shows as well. So just comment below, leave a way for us to contact you, and we will pick 2 winners. Everybody give thumbs up in chat to Josh for coming up with this excellent idea to help out or just even reward the people that do come and watch us on a daily basis. All right, we do have some games to talk about, so let's start talking about them. We have Winnipeg with a 2.5 implied goal total going into Dallas. The Dallas Stars have a 3.2 implied goal total. As we mentioned, Pierre-Luc Dubois is back for Winnipeg, as is Neil Pionk. And I think that's important because Pionk had been running the power play for this team before he got injured / COVID or whatever. They had been using some Schmidt and Morrissey at times. Like, I don't think they're really set on any single defenseman running that power play. And as you mentioned, they said they're easing Pierre-Luc Dubois back into the lineup. I find it hard to believe he's not going to be back on the second line, probably by the second period or something like that. So I think I might build tonight assuming Pierre-Luc Dubois is the second line center. At a minimum, he's going to be on the power play, right? He's definitely taking over for Kopp on the power play. At a minimum, he gets that role. So I think you're just fine going in that direction. But like you mentioned earlier, there's probably stuff to play up and down both lineups here. What do you like?
Yeah, so I'll start with the Winnipeg second line. You were dropping some knowledge on Kyle Connor on us earlier today. Kyle Connor without Scheifele or Dubois at center just is not the same player. His expected goals numbers are under 50%, or what was it?
Yeah. Kyle Connor without Scheifele or Dubois as a center this year, 47% shot share, 45% expected goal share. It's not pretty.
Yeah. And he's 8,400 tonight. That's kind of expensive for someone underwater without his centers. That being said, Dubois is back. And in the last show, if you heard us talking about Winnipeg, they like Andrew Kopp on that third line. Like it's not a secret. They like him down there because they solidify their depth. I honestly just believe they're just doing this to get, Dubois a couple shifts, make sure he's still actually healthy, get into the flow of the game. They're going to move him back. Like it's going to happen. There's no reason to leave him down there with Svechnikov and Lauer. Yeah, Dubois and Svechnikov have played a bunch together, but Dubois, Connor, Perfetti have ridiculous numbers together before, Dubois got hurt. So he's more than likely going to move up. And I'm going to build that way just because they're going to see, probably Ben Sagan Gurianov. And, they've been decent offensively, but they've been very high event defensively as well. So, I'm going to build like Dubois there. And that, I really do like Winnipeg too here. So if you build a Dubois too, you might actually get the three of them at a lower ownership because, people are going to see line rushes. People are going to see lineups. People are going to see lineup builders. They're going to have Dubois in the third line. So, chances are he's moving up. So I'm going to build Connor, Dubois, Perfetti. I prefer that to the Scheifele Wheeler line just because chances are Scheifele Wheeler are going to see a bunch of Hintz, Pavelski, Robertson. That line is ridiculous, both offensively and defensively. I just like they're not getting the recognition they deserve for being one of the best lines in the NHL. Like Dallas is not a great team, but that is a great line. So, Dallas won for me. I love them tonight. They're up there with my top, one of my favorite plays. Dallas won, Winnipeg 2. You want to go to Dallas 2, you can. Like I was more in favor of it when they were cheaper. Sagan's back up to 5K. He was 4,200 the other night. It's okay, I guess. But, you want to include him in some power play stuff, you can do that. Winnipeg's penalty kill is better than it was, but it's still not great. So you can include Sagan in some power play stacks. But for me in this game, Dallas 1 and Winnipeg 2 are my primary targets.
Yeah, we should mention, I agree with you on Winnipeg 2. And I'm going to also be building with Dubois, assuming he's the center. One of the reasons is because Dallas 2 is very high event. The Sagan, Ben, Gurianov line from Dallas, 66 shot attempts for, 69 shot attempts against per 60 minutes. Like we talk about how once we get to about 120 shot attempts for and against, that's high pace. They're at 135. Like they're like it seems unbelievable for a line filled with older guys, but they are really moving up and down the ice, taking lots of shots. That translates into expected goals too. 3.1 expected goals for, 3.4 against. Like they're just trading shots back and forth, which is it reminds me of like the Dallas teams from like 5 and 6 years ago when Lindy Ruff was back there and this, every game was like 6-4 or something like that. That's kind of why we like Winnipeg 2 here, is because Dallas 2 does give it up defensively quite a bit. But at the same time, that also, like we said, Dallas 2 is a high-paced offensive line. They've been very good. With Kopp on the second line, like Kopp is a pretty good player. I don't know if it really changes the outlook of the Winnipeg second line defensively that much to have him there instead of Pierre-Luc Dubois. So I don't think like Dallas 2's outlook hasn't changed for me at all in this game on this slate. I still kind of like them. I know they're coming in over leveraged, 11% ownership against 8.5%, 9% top 2 stack. But I honestly think that's just fine on a 4-game slate. Like you're not going to get all the leverage you want on a 4-game slate. And as I mentioned, like Dallas has just been really high event with that line. So I think Dallas 2 is fine as a filler, but it's really Dallas 1. I guess that really interests me here again. 68 shot attempts per 60 minutes since Christmas, 58% of the shot share. They're controlling 65% of the scoring chances when they're on the ice. Just absolutely monster numbers. And the thing is, Dallas 1 is shooting under 12%, which is pretty much fine for a high-end line. Like a high-end line is generally like somewhere around 11%, 10.5%, 11%. They're shooting under 12%, and they're generating over 5 goals per 60 minutes because they're generating so many shots and expected goals. So I think both Dallas top 6 lines are fine here tonight. It just depends what you want to do with the rest of your lineup. If you tell me you can only build with one or the other here tonight, you know, in a nutshell, I would take Dallas 1 because I think they're by far the better line and one of the best lines in hockey, coming in with good leverage. But I think both top Dallas lines are fine. On the Winnipeg side, out on Winnipeg 1, agree with you on, as I said, on Winnipeg 2. I would assume that Pierre-Luc Dubois just comes in and steps in as a second line center over Andrew Kopp. And they're coming in with good leverage as it is, right? Positive leverage, one of the lines with positive leverage on the slate. And that's only going to be even better if you use Pierre-Luc Dubois, like you said, because so many people aren't going to be on that. I agree with you all around. On the blue line, Miro Heiskanen saw his price come up by $1,000 from the last game. Seems like he's more reasonably priced now. Like if you're not stacking Dallas, he makes sense as a one-off, I think, even at 5,400. Anybody else on the blue line?
Yeah, I mean, it sucks that Klingberg's running the power play, but if you're using Dallas 1, you don't have to. Obviously, you can use Miro, but I like to include Klingberg in Dallas 1 stacks for that power play. Miro definitely makes more sense as a one-off. Esa Lindell also fine as a one-off. Outside of, if you're using the Hellebuck tonight, like I always said, Brendan Dillon back down 2,800, I think that's fine. Neil Pionk, if you're using, any Winnipeg, I think makes more sense. That's Rangers legend, Neil Pionk, by the way. You can use him. He's definitely a better puck mover than Morrissey or Schmidt. So he gives that power play an upgrade tonight.
We got to shout it out to Neil Pionk. Like everybody really laughed at that trade, him getting sent to Winnipeg. Like he looked bad.
Big Neil Pionk guy when he was on the Rangers. I was upset that they traded him, but I understood why they did it. But
he's definitely he's proven himself capable to be a top 4 defenseman in the NHL, and it's always nice to see somebody that gets doubted like that kind of prove everybody wrong. With Daytona right around the corner, we are offering our Awesemo Plus NASCAR packages for less than $2 per cup race this season. That's right. It's $70 for a full year of Awesemo Plus NASCAR. And this pass gives you access to our driver projections, our ownership projections, our top drivers tool, and it'll give you the edge you need in NASCAR DFS. Use the promo code GREENFLAG. That's all capital letters, all one word, at checkout, or simply click the link in the description of this video to activate. This offer is valid through February 20th, which is next Sunday, I believe, which is the Daytona race. I've got a few of those tickets burning a hole in my pocket. I'm actually getting excited for that. I will say that's the one thing that DraftKings tickets and FanDuel tickets and stuff like that, they get me excited for things that I otherwise wouldn't watch. Like I would never watch the Daytona. Not, people watch it. Go ahead. You enjoy what you enjoy. I just don't enjoy racing that much. But I'll watch every second of the Daytona if I have $100 in entries on it or something like that. Are you a NASCAR guy, Josh?
It's funny because I used to be so anti-NASCAR. I'd be like, if I wanted to go see cars turn left, I'd go out and watch the street. But then I got into NASCAR DFS, and I was like, wow, man, I really got into it. And I had a really, really big win in NASCAR DFS in 2016, which is like almost 6 years ago, which is crazy. But yeah, ended up building projections, all this and that. But now I haven't played for the last few years. I think I'm going to get back into it again. The beginning of the race, it's whatever. End of the race, it gets pretty tense with, there's good strategy and stuff. Daytona 500 is just an absolute festival. You just hope your driver doesn't, crash out before the end of the race. And that's how you win some money in the Daytona 500. It's just an absolute mess.
Yeah, the one thing I know about NASCAR DFS is what Cosmo Iannopoulos just dropped in our YouTube chat. The one thing I know about NASCAR DFS is you always stack from the back. Always have your drivers in the back, less likely to crash. I don't know. That's the one thing I've heard. I hope that's true. I'm not here to offer NASCAR advice. That's for sure. All right. Let's get to this next game. The New York Islanders have a 2.5 implied goal total. They're going into Edmonton. The Oilers have a 3.1 implied goal total. Obviously, the big news here is Edmonton fired their coach, Dave Tippett, brought up, I believe it's Jay Woodcroft is his name. He is the AHL coach in Bakersfield. They also called up Philip Broberg because Duncan Keith hit the LTIR, but it doesn't look like they're going to be playing Broberg tonight. So I wouldn't worry about him too much. We did get new lines for Edmonton. I think the big note here was that Zach Hyman and Jesse Puljujarvi are back on the top line with Connor McDavid. And I should mention Evander Kane and Kailer Yamamoto on the second line, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins by himself on an island on the third line. I write about season-long fantasy hockey, and that's something I mentioned when they acquired Evander Kane, was that they basically had 7 forwards for 6 prime roster spots, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins looks like he's drawing the short end of the stick, being stuck on the third line by himself, but he's presumably going to get a lot of power play time. So I think it's, one of those situations where if you're worried that, it doesn't even look like Edmonton's going to be chalk tonight, so I wouldn't worry about that. But if you're worried that Edmonton's chalk, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins on the third line, ways to get different. On the other side, New York Islanders, I'm assuming they're running back the same lineup as last game. Honestly, it's impossible to find information on that team. They did have Cal Clutterbuck on the top line, if I'm not mistaken. Ross Johnston on the second line, if I'm not mistaken, with Pajot, Wallstrom, and Parise as the third line. Cal Clutterbuck and Ross Johnston in the top 6, but we still have to talk about him. So what do you like here, Josh?
Yeah, last show I was like, what line never gets changed on the Islanders? The fourth line. And then hours later, Cal Clutterbuck on the top line. Like, how bad do we run? But no, but good God. Edmonton might actually be stackable tonight for the first time since we can remember. And Hyman and Puljujarvi are so cheap tonight. We haven't got a new ownership run with these new lines. I would imagine that top line definitely comes up a little bit here. Puljujarvi and Hyman 8,600 for the two of them, making the McDavid line 17.8, which is very, very reasonable. We don't have power play units, but you're going to assume that Hyman, Puljujarvi see power play time. Who knows with this new coach, but it's a fair assumption that they will. I like Edmonton 1 tonight. It doesn't really matter the matchup on either side. These matchups just don't matter to me. Line matching is very important, but it's not end all be all. And this is one of those games where it almost doesn't matter. If you like the line that you like, just play them. These are 2 poor defensive teams. They don't have very good defensive lines. So I do like Edmonton 1 tonight a lot. I kind of like Kane Draisaitl, but what worries me is they haven't really played together, and it doesn't strike me that they're going to be a very good defensive line, especially with Yamamoto there, and that worries me. Maybe not so much tonight because the Islanders are just crap too, but going forward, if that line sticks, that's definitely going to be one of those where I circle to stack against. But for me, Edmonton 1 definitely in play. Edmonton power play. You would assume Hyman, Puljujarvi, Draisaitl, Nugent-Hopkins, the Bouchards of the world. They're going to mix and match their guys. That's how it's going to be. So Edmonton 1, Edmonton power play. On the Islander side, I like that third line just because they're so cheap and they get power play time. And Edmonton's bad defensively. Mike Smith is bad in net. So, yeah, there's, JG Pajot, Wallstrom, 6,200 for the two of them. Let you do some spicy things with some power play stacking. The problem is they're coming in so high owned. But if you're going to power play stack, you're going to be different anyway. So you don't really have to worry about it. So I do like Islanders 3 here. I just have a hard time stacking, Barzal Lee with Clutterbuck. If you want to do Barzal Lee Dobson, that's fine. But for me, on the Islanders side, I think I'm going to go to Islanders 3.
So I mentioned that Edmonton doesn't look to be chalk tonight, and it by our top stacks anyway, it doesn't look like it. Coming in 16% ownership, 18 to 19% top stack percentage. We're gonna have to get some updates because I think we're still waiting on updates with the brand new line combinations. But I don't imagine that Edmonton top line is going to be much higher than the 15 to 20% that it was with the Vander Kane or Yamamoto projecting there, right? And I mentioned it earlier. It's important that this specific top line is back together because they do have a lot of minutes together,
and they're very good.
Yeah, over 200 minutes together, 72 shot attempts, 4 per 60 minutes, 41 scoring chances, 4 per 60 minutes. Controlling 60% of the scoring chances when they're on the ice as well. Like 41 scoring chances per 60 minutes is just bonkers. Like anything above 30, I consider to be very, very good. And above 40 is just absurd. This is a very, very good Edmonton top line. Are they going to be a good top line with a different coach? Like, I don't know. Who knows? I think it's worth playing that Edmonton top line here tonight. We don't really know exactly how the power plays are going to break out, but Puljujarvi, I'm assuming is going to be on at least one of the units, and Connor McDavid plays on both units, so it doesn't really matter that much. And the thing with the Islanders is the Islanders have a great penalty kill and don't take a lot of penalties as it is. So it's not like power play stacking is super important for this Edmonton game, Edmonton team specifically. So I think you're fine just even straight stacking. Like, I think this is a night where you don't have to play McDavid and Draisaitl together in your GPP lineups. You can, obviously, perfectly fine. Not going to argue with that. But I think you're fine to even strength stack a line. I think Edmonton won. They've been elite this year. I know why they broke them up is because every other line was sucking, but it's a new coach and we get the good line back. So I do like Edmonton won a fair bit in this game. As far as the rest of Edmonton goes, like, I think it's just a matter of, do you want a power play stack or not? And like I said, the Islanders have one of the best penalty kills in the league and are amongst the least penalized teams in the league as well. I just don't think it's a 4-game slate. You have to get funky. Power play stacking just about any team, except for Arizona, I think is at least, you can back it up. There's reason to. It's just I'm not going to go in that direction with the Edmonton Oilers here tonight. On the Islanders side, I'm not playing Cal Clutterbuck. I'm not playing Ross Johnston. So I guess it's the over-leveraged third line. Like, at least the third line has been good. Like, break even. 53% shot share, 52% scoring chances. Like, that's good for this team. And I don't know what Cal Clutterbuck is going to do that top line. I don't know what Ross Johnston, like, every single line on the Islanders is coming in over leveraged. So I'm going to take the line that's actually good. You know what I mean?
You know what another issue is if you want to use that top line? Outside of Barzell, no one plays more than like 14, 15 minutes.
Thank you for bringing that up. That's a very good point. I was looking earlier over the last 6 or 7 games. It's literally just Barzal playing like 17, 18 minutes or whatever. And then everyone else is playing 12 to 16 minutes. Like, they're playing their 4 lines basically the same. That's why I think you're better off stacking the cheaper depth guys. Islanders 3, Edmonton 1 for me in this game. On the blue line, like, Bouchard, I assume will get power play minutes, but like I said, I'm not sure that the power play should be the focus here. I think Darnell Nurse makes a better option. With Duncan Keith hurt, I imagine Cody Ceci is the anchor of that second pair and probably has to play a fair number of minutes, whenever Nurse and Bouchard are off the ice. So I think Ceci at 2,600 is fine as well. Anybody else stick out?
Yeah, Nurse, a couple games ago, Nurse was like 7,200. Bouchard was 5,800, something like that. They're really close in price. And if you aren't power play stacking, I'd rather go Nurse than Bouchard. But Bouchard's fine. CC if you need a punt. On the underside, outside of Dobson, maybe you can punt Pellick or Mayfield, but that's really about it. Like, Pulock down on the third pair. Wish he got more minutes.
Yep. Yeah, me too. I agree with that. We have partnered with Yahoo Fantasy this NHL season to bring you some great offers. Check out our exclusive limited time offer, which gets you 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. To qualify, you need to be new to Yahoo, sign up for an account via the link below, deposit and play. That's it. Yahoo will send us your name after you've played in your first paid contest, and we will reach out via email with your coupon. If you'd like to speed up the process of getting access, just email support@awesemo.com. We'll get you set up. You can also claim a free $10 of site credit by clicking the link in the video description below, and that can be used to enter any Yahoo contest. Those contests include tonight's NHL $2,000 baller and the $1 million baller coming up this weekend for the Super Bowl. We also have a free roll running for the big game on Yahoo, with first place getting $1,000 and a year of Awesemo Plus Platinum. You can find the link in that contest in the video description below, and make sure to use our DFS tools and projections designed specifically for Yahoo to give yourself the best shot at winning big. As Chuck Dynasty showed last night, it's very much worth it to head on over to Yahoo to even fire some free money into that NHL $2,000 baller. Plus minus. I know plus minus is an outdated stat. I don't use it. It's bad, et cetera, et cetera. I miss it on FanDuel. I really do. It was a different game. It just made it slightly different. You know what I mean?
And it eliminated game stacking.
Yeah, that's one thing it surely did. Yeah, not a lot of game stacking when you're using plus minus. If you're not a fan of plus minus, DraftKings and FanDuel, Yahoo, they have a great fantasy product. Jake's playing over there all the time. Like I said, Chuck took one down last night. Head on over to Yahoo if you're a first-time user, get some free money. All right, next game, Tampa, 3.8 implied goal total going into Arizona. The Arizona Coyotes have a 2.3 implied goal total. Tampa played last night in Colorado, lost in Colorado last night. I mean, Colorado looked like the better team, but like I'm not going to draw conclusions off of one game. Colorado's just, they're an excellent team. I think the one thing to note from that Tampa game was Anthony Cirelli was sent to the fourth line with Matthew Joseph, I believe, sent to the Killorn and Stamkos line. Now, so because Cirelli penalty kills and does all that, plays secondary power play, he still ended up playing 18 minutes, I believe. So it's not like he played 11 or 12 minutes last night. But we just should note that with Tampa on the back-to-back, we're not going to know what their lineup looks like until warmups hit. And Anthony Cirelli, for 2 periods for the second and third period last night, was playing on the fourth line for Tampa. So that's pretty important to note here for that Tampa second line. What do you like here, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, just like we talked about the Oilers, this isn't a great power play spot. This is an unbelievable power play spot for the Lightning. I think if you want to stack that top line, I think that's perfectly fine. But for me, I'm going to power play stack the Lightning, do point Kucherov, Killorn, point Kucherov, Hedman. Just, you want to include Stamkos at 7,100, go ahead, and I'll just move on. The Coyotes maybe get bailed out by Vejmelka, who's actually been really, really good since the beginning of the season. Like, considering the team he has in front of him, he should, there's going to be like one stray writer who gives him a Vezina vote, and we're going to applaud him. But for me, this is, all about Tampa power play stack. You can full stack if you want. I'm probably just going to do some 3-mans, point Kucherov, Hedman, point Kucherov, Killorn. Depending on the build you want to build around, because obviously Killorn is much less expensive than Stamkos and Hedman, who are both 7,100 on DraftKings. Killorn $2,300 cheaper. So you want a full stack lines, even strength, that's fine. Wouldn't tell you no. It's a good 5-on-5 matchup too. Just a better power play matchup, and that's where I'm gonna focus. On the Coyotes side, like I get it. I kind of would be interested in the Coyotes here with, it's probably going to be Elliott tonight. But like, you see the ownership. It's again, like, why do these people just love going to the Coyotes? What, like, do people just want to plant a flag and go I won a GPP with Travis Boyd.
Like
I don't know.
I honestly don't get it, man. Like people don't run out to play, the Montreal Canadiens like this or the Seattle Kraken like this. But people just absolutely cannot stop playing the Arizona Coyotes.
There's like 15%. Like if they're like 4, 5, 6%, I maybe have some Coyotes in MME, but like 15%. Nick Schmaltz, yeah, he's min price and on the top power play, but like I'd much rather just play Wallstrom and JG Pajot in a better matchup and move on with my day. If you want to play Arizona 1, Arizona 2, be my guest. But it's not going to be something that I am heavily looking to do. MME, I think, is fine. 1 to 3. I'm going to take a pass on that ownership.
Yeah, that's where I'm finding a little bit of trouble with Arizona. It's just the ownership. Like we have them coming in. We have the top line coming in at 14%, the second line at 8%. Amongst our negative leverage lines on this slate, we have the Arizona top line as the most negative leverage and the Arizona second line as the third most negative leverage. Like people are slamming in the Coyotes here tonight. And I get it because they are super cheap. You can throw full Dallas 1 plus Klingberg. You can throw full Edmonton power play. You can game stack with a Tampa power play or something like that. So I kind of get it in that sense. But then you're looking across at other lines or other stacks or what have you, like Seattle 2 coming in at a third of the ownership of Arizona 1. I'd rather play Seattle 2. Even Islanders 2 coming in at 1/7 the ownership of Arizona 1. I'd rather play Islanders 2, even with Ross Johnston there. Like I make fun of him. He's at least a good defensive player, and you can, a puck can go in off of him or something like that. So, that can happen. You can just pay up to go for Dallas 2, like pay an extra couple $1,000, drop down a defenseman somewhere and go with Dallas 2. Like, I think I'd rather do almost any of those options rather than play, a 15% Arizona 1. And the problem is they're going right into the teeth of Tampa Bay. Like if they're going up against the Tampa second line, if they're going up against Killorn and Stamkos, like I would kind of get it. And that's why I like Arizona 2 better. I honestly do. And that's why I want to bring up Alex Galchenyuk, because somebody mentioned in chat, I don't know, maybe flippantly, they said Galchenyuk had he book it. I don't agree with a Galchenyuk hat trick, but this guy's leading them in individual expected goals over their last 15 games. That's not nothing. That's more than Clayton Keller, more than Phil Kessel. That's not nothing. So, I can't imagine a line with Phil Kessel and Alex Galchenyuk will be very good defensively, but I can see them generating some offense. So I think if you're looking for a filler stack, it's Arizona 2 over Arizona 1.
But on the counterpoint there, Killorn, Stamkos, Joseph are awful defensively, and they don't create offensively either. So
that's
if there's a time, this might be the time, because Brian Elliott ain't no Vasilevsky. Stamkos can't, defend a lawn chair. So, could be the time.
Yeah, it could be the time. I'll say it. I agree. Arizona 2, I think, is a better play than Arizona 1 here tonight. I'm probably not playing either of them. I'm playing one lineup. I don't think I'm going to have either of them. But I'm just saying that's my opinion on this game. On the Tampa side, I agree. For me, I said it in our Discord. I think this is full send on Tampa 1. Tampa 1/Tampa power play. Again, Tampa 1 generating 41 scoring chances per 60 minutes. I mean, I just mentioned with Edmonton 1 how high that is for a line. Tampa 1 doing the exact same thing. Plus, you mentioned it's an excellent power play spot for Tampa. So all the Tampa guys, you can full power play stack. You can Tampa 1 stack. You can just Josh stack them, which is 6 skaters over on DraftKings. Any of that with Tampa, I think, is just fine. If you're playing Arizona, I think Arizona 2 makes a little bit more sense matchup wise. And Alex Galchenyuk, honestly, the knock on him was never his offense, right? It was always his defense. So, it's not a super shock to me that he's generating some expected goals here. On the blue line, I noticed a couple things. One, Arizona's really spreading out the time on ice among their defensemen. They're doing this thing where basically everybody's playing 17 to 22 minutes of late, which isn't great. But on the flip side, Jacob Chikrin is finally getting down to a playable price at 5,200. I still don't know if I want to play him at 5,200, but it is palatable. What are you looking at for defensemen in this game?
Yeah, until he gets more consistent minutes, I'd rather play Mikhail Sergachev at 4,600, save the 600, go to Sergachev. He plays ridiculous minutes. He's been shooting the puck more. He's actually been blocking shots, which is weird for him. He usually just likes to get out of the way of the puck. But yeah, if you want to play Chikrin, that's fine. I'd rather go to Sergachev. Hedman, if you're doing Tampa power play, Ryan McDonough is still a good punt at 3,300. And then, I just need to let Jake know that you can lock in Taylor Radish and Darren Radish brother stacks for all the money tonight. So please do that.
Brothers,
and at least one lineup. Come on, Jake.
Brother stacks. I love that. Here at Awesemo.com, we love to celebrate the winners as we did at the top of the show. We do that through the Awesemo Hall of Fame. If you'd like to get into the Awesemo Hall of Fame, this is how you do it. You download the Awesemo avatar from awesemo.com/avatar. You place in the top 3 of a contest with at least 5,000 contestants, and then you tweet those wins to the Awesemo Hoff account. We mentioned a bunch of the NHL winners at the top of the show. You'll see some NBA winners in this show. I see Anderson 13 taking down first in the 400K NBA fadeaway, 100K to first. Congrats to him. I see a second and a third, or tied for second, actually, right behind him with another Awesemo avatar. So those boys had a good night in NBA that night. I see T.O. Deck starting off cooler than our T.O. Winter, but turning things around. He took down first and second in the NBA Sunday 50K, 10K to first over on FanDuel. Andy B, deeper dive live before lock, always entertaining and had some great calls. Apparently they had some great calls for him. $250 took down a 3 max over on FanDuel in NBA as well. Back to some NHL stuff. Added again, boys and girls, second time in 3 days. I ended up taking down a few contests for first place, just for CBJ stuff over on FanDuel, taking down first in the NHL breakaway. And says, shout out Slim Cliffy for Calgary 2, biggest win of 2022. Mentioned that earlier over on FanDuel, that Calgary game a couple nights ago. So lots of NBA and NHL winners. Come on over to Awesemo.com, see what we're about. And if you do win, make sure you have the Awesemo avatar as your avatar and send those wins in to the Awesemo Hoff account on Twitter. We have some shows coming up after us. We have the NFL Prize Picks live show coming up at 4:30 Eastern with Eitan and Terry. And then they're followed by your NBA double dose of the deeper dive and the live before lock. Just a few minutes left here in the show before everybody gets out of here. If you guys could, please click the thumbs up. Please click that subscribe button. Again, those subscriptions really do go a long way in keeping these shows coming on a regular basis. Click that bell to get alerts. And thank you once again to Yahoo Fantasy. They've been a very good sponsor to us. Come get some free money if you're a first-time user from Yahoo Fantasy. Just look through the description in the link below. Final game, Seattle, 2.5 implied goal total. Going into Anaheim, the Ducks have a 3.0 implied goal total. This was the game that I said earlier might be one that you might just want to overlook. But, man, once I dug into it, there might be some stuff to play on both sides here. So what do you like, Josh?
Yeah, someone just mentioned me on Twitter asking if Sonny Milano was going to be back tonight. I went and started looking around. He skated with the team in practice a couple days ago, but I haven't seen anything about him being back. I guess we'll find out in warm-ups. Ducks play their news pretty close to the vest. I don't know if he's going to be back, but if he is and he does slide in that second line, that'd be nice because they're probably going to get the Gord matchup, which hasn't been great defensively. As it is, Henrique Zegras-Raquel, that's a pretty nice matchup too. I mean, you talk about it more than I do, how, Zegras-Raquel or Zegras' numbers aren't that great without Sonny Milano. I don't know. I'm willing to take some chances on that line going into that Gord matchup. Seattle, they've looked better. They just haven't looked great. And if this was a bigger slate, I'd probably just, be like, this game sucks. But like, it's a 4-game slate. Comtois, Getzlaf, Terry is interesting to me, probably because they're going to, the Ducks send out their top line against, bottom 6 matchups. So they're going to get Donato Wenberg. I don't know if Austin Cesarnik's going to be there. It's going to be Donskoy. I know Cesarnik's probably going to be in the lineup tonight.
Yeah. Well, we have him on the third line in the lineup builder.
Yeah. And Cesarnik, I don't know, like defensively, the difference between Cesarnik and Donskoy, they're pretty defensively responsible, I think. My son Donskoy. But I do like that top line for the Ducks. I think, if Milano's out, I'd go to that top line. Comtois, Getzlaf, Terry. Troy Terry's having a ridiculous season. If Milano's back, I'd lean more towards the Zegras line, but as it is, I do like that top line, Comtois, Getzlaf, Terry going up against bottom 6 matchups of Seattle. And, since the Ducks send out, for some reason, Derek Grant, Isaac Lundestrom, and Jakob Silfverberg against top comp. Why? We don't know. But that does put the Seattle top line in play for me. Marcus Johansson, Jared McCann, Jordan Eberle. Man, did they let me down the other night. And man, I don't like stacking against John Gibson, but this is a 4-game slate. This is a pretty good matchup for them. They're fully correlated. They're coming in very low owned. So I think you definitely can take some stabs on Seattle 1 tonight.
Yeah, Seattle 1 definitely in play for me here, especially like you mentioned with that Anaheim 3 matchup, right? With Anaheim 3 getting that matchup. Anaheim 3 this season hasn't been very good. 43% shot share, 43% of the scoring chances. Top lines have been running them over. So, not that the Seattle top line has been great. About 55% expected goal share. That's pretty good, I guess. It's not super elite, but that's good. That Seattle top line can definitely get there here tonight. When I was looking at their top stacks, they're coming in with pretty good leverage too. So don't sleep on, don't be sleepless in Seattle here tonight. You might want to take them here.
That's a joke you normally would hear out of me, but we've been doing shows too much together.
I even got Xander shaking his head on that one. So Seattle 1. On the Anaheim side, for me, it's the Zegras line. They're coming in with positive leverage. That's basically the only reason for me here. That's what's separating that from the Terry line for me. On the blue line, nobody really sticks out other than correlating. What do you think?
Yeah, Hampus Lindholm a little too expensive for my taste there, 5,100. So Drysdale, if you were doing stuff with the Ducks. Is Vinny Dunn running power play 1 here now? They booted Giordano.
Yeah.
So Vinny Dunn, 3,900, not a bad option there. And that's really about it.
Yeah, I will say Dunn playing 20+ minutes, and he's shooting a little bit more of late as well. So don't mind him on Seattle. All right, Josh, we got to get out of here. I'm going to ask you for your hat trick picks and your goalies here tonight. Honestly, I'm going to say flat out, not that I usually like goalies on any slate. I don't like any goalie tonight. It's John Gibson and Jake Ottinger that I'm considering the most, but I really don't like very many goalies or any goalie on this slate. My hat trick pick, Steven Stamkos. Who you got?
I do like Gibson. I don't mind Philip Grubauer. Honestly, like goalie is some slim pickings tonight. Who else? I mean, Hellebuck, if you're not using the star, like it's quite a mess at goalie tonight. If you like somebody, you have a lean there, you go with it. And before I give you my hat trick pick, remember we're doing a giveaway for 2-week-long memberships. So to participate, you got to leave a like, leave a comment, favorite moment from the show last year or this year. And my hat trick pick, you said Steven Stamkos. I'm going to say Jason Robertson.
All right, there you go. I like that. He's turning into one of your favorite players too.
I love Jason Robertson.
You always have a twinkle in your eye whenever you talk about him.
He's, I might try to legally adopt him.
Well, I mean, why not? You're adopting like, a dog or a cat or a goldfish like every week.
I got a zoo in my house. Might as well add humans.
NHL player. All right, we got to get out of here. We do have a show coming up tomorrow. So we have an NHL show For you guys tomorrow, we have some NFL and NBA coming up later today. But for Tyler Xander, for Mr. Joshua Harris, I'm Michael Clifford saying good luck tonight, everybody.